First of all, I just want to say thank you guys for coming and staying this late. We obviously had to save the best for the last. Because we cannot just talk about schools without talking to students, right? Okay, shall we? Shall we? I could just keep, no, it's not working. Check, check. I mean, I don't mind. I hope you guys can share on Snap. It's okay. Alright. So first of all, I'm Christina Chaise. I'm going to let them introduce themselves because they have their own voices. I'm a student here in the Sociology and Education program at EPSA. And I'll just keep it there.
Hi, my name is Miajia, Jaware. I'm a student at Phillip Randolph High School. I'm a junior.
My name is Justine Smith. I'm 16 and I'm also a junior at Phillip Randolph.
Okay, so before we had this conference, BSN and CLS came together and we did a talk, kind of the same thing, schools design with us in mind, and one of the things that came up was the role of literature. So I'm going to start off with this question first. Have you felt that the texts and materials provided in your class represent you as a student of color?
I want to answer the question. Okay, so being in Harlem, obviously, I'm surrounded by black and brown faces all day, and then when I go into my classroom full of black and brown people, and I open my textbook, and it's just white, 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 white. Oh, look at black and white. It's just, it lacks a lot of the color that happened in America. Like, you get just slavery and Martin Luther King, and then that's it. And in reality, there's so much more behind that. Like, the gentleman who was here before, he said, like, there's so much more that we're not learning that happens in, I'm so nervous. There's so much more that happens that we're not taught. Like, Black History, they really only highlight, like, a people of color and done history during Black History Month, which that's like only 28 days, which really only 20 days because the weekend and stuff. But I definitely don't feel I definitely don't feel represented, especially as a woman of, well, can I call myself a woman?
You're a woman.
You're a woman. Especially as a woman of color, to open my textbook and just see white old men, it's like, where are my people at? Like,
yeah, I was gonna say the same thing as she was. So I'm black, so obviously I'm used to being around black people. Okay, I got a lot of loud aunts, and I don't really have a lot of black teachers either, so it's kind of hard for them to teach us about our own history because I'm so used to actually opening a textbook and I already know what's going to be in that textbook because I have been taught this since about like the 5th grade that, you know, my ancestors were only slaves and we just slapped upon this country to pick cotton and then we got free and then now here we are. But there's so much in between that, and that's what that's what the textbooks and what teachers are missing. So that's very valuable for me in particular.
Then can you elaborate a little bit on what your classroom experience looks like then?
Okay, classroom experience. Okay, we got typical.
How do you feel about it? How do you feel?
How do I feel about the classroom? It depends on what class it is, but usually, obviously, okay, history class. First off, I don't like my teacher much. I don't like my teacher, but the history that we learn is U.S. history, but it's just black people were a part of U.S. history, like a big part of U.S. history. But if you look in a textbook and a whole list of what we're learning, it's just like we're just learning about white people. And then when they mention black people, it's just like, oh yeah, you know, they were struggling at this time. They moved to the north because they were struggling for job opportunities, but they invented so much more. And so for me to just sit in the classroom and then for students to just take this on in life, it's like, that's not real. I feel like this is not really history. This is just what you want us to know instead of what we should know. And that's about it.
Absolutely, just and I feel the same way because like I feel like when we open our textbook, it's just whited out everything. And like they said, history does repeat itself. Like right now with all the social justice issues that are going on, and we don't talk about it in our history classes. When they fail to realize that these are going to be in our history books at some point in time. So it's like when I open this textbook and I see something that's kind of related to happening today, it's like I want to talk about it. And then as soon as I do, my teacher goes, "Sorry, man, it's not in the curriculum. We have to move on." And it's like I don't want to move on. I'm interested in these things. I generally like talking about these things because if I don't talk about them, then who will? I want to raise questions.
And you should. That's how you Okay. So I'm actually, that's kind of the next question I wanted to go to, so maybe we can talk about that. How has it been navigating your school and your academic trajectory with everything going on outside? Has that been a topic of conversation in your school, specifically the police brutality in our communities? Has that been discussed in your schools, and if so, in what way?
I mean, we discussed it like once in our AP English class. that didn't really bring us anywhere far, but to discuss it made me feel good. But the comments that and this is a class full of
Black and brown students?
Yes, and which is very important. And it's an issue. It's like this. The police brutality is in our community. It's becoming in every community, and so you cannot just keep ignoring it and pushing it to the side because it's becoming a very big issue. And as a Black person, you can't just that wasn't my uncle, that wasn't my cousin, that wasn't my brother, so I don't really care. But it could be your brother, it could be your uncle, it could be someone that you know. And in order to discuss it, you have to, oh my God. I forgot what I said. You want to pick it?
It's okay. You sure? Okay.
Yeah.
So definitely, because when the same class from AP English, and it's just a unit, social justice unit, and it gets to the topics of like what's going on in the community. And me and her, Justine, we got so heated, we were so angry, and we were so passionate talking about what we were. The teacher was like, Miajia, Justine, if you guys keep acting, we are gonna have to ask you to leave the classroom. It's like these are things that we like to talk about. We're passionate. We advocate for. We were in the streets with Casey sitting right there. We were in the streets last summer protesting in the hot sun because we want these things to change. And it's like, so we're talking about, so like, yeah, everything is wrong, you know, they're being horrible the way they're treating us. And the teacher's just like, well, you need to stop. It's like, as soon as we go to talk about it, we're shut down. And it's like, why are you doing this? These things are happening to not just us, but in our community. Like, our school is right next to the Manhattanville and the Grant houses, and that's like a lot of gang activity things. So these are things that are our community.
Really are right over there. Okay. So then if you could have a one-on-one with your teacher and actually talk about this, what would you say to your teacher?
Don't tell me to be quiet. Like that's the main things. Like she really was like, man, I just have to stop. I have to let other people talk. Like things we were saying, they're just so.
It was very narrow-minded comments that they were making, and there was this one person she was Hispanic, and she said that, well, you don't really see Hispanic men who are killed by police on the news, and it's true, but then it's not true as well. And I feel like there's a lot of Black men who was killed by police that don't get on the news, but I end up knowing about it because I do my research. And in order for you to be connected to who you are, you have to do your research, because they're not going to teach you this kind of things in school. They're not going to discuss it in school, so you have to do it yourself. And school is obviously a place for you to learn, but they're not really teaching us things that we're actually going to learn. Like, I don't know what mortgages are, I don't know what taxes are, but they don't teach us that in school, but kind of know how to plot lines and stuff. So other than that, I don't know.
Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot to unpack. I guess if you could make any changes in your classroom to change that culture, to change that space, what do you envision that would look like? I mean, whatever comes to mind, popcorn style.
I think cultural appreciation is very, very, very important in schools, because our school, again, is in the heart of Harlem. It's 135th Street. The Apollo is literally like right down the block. And so, like, in history, obviously you learn about the Harlem Renaissance, and they don't really speak about what artists were in the Harlem Renaissance and who was doing this and who was doing that. It just plastered there, and you flip to the next page in the textbook, and it's just unimportant bullcrap. But I think cultural appreciation is very, very, very important, because we have Asian students in our school, we have Hispanic students in our school, which is the majority of the school, and then we have Black students in our school. And we don't know where we come from. A lot of us don't know where we come from. And for a textbook to tell you that you were just this much in, you're, oh my God. Okay.
Take your time, take your time.
Do you want a break?
No. Okay. And for a textbook to tell you that you know, this is only your history. You know, your history wasn't that important. You take this.
Okay. Okay, so going with what Justine said, it's definitely true that the winners tell history. And for Black and brown students, so far we've never been the winners. So obviously they're going to tell us that our history, like Justine said, wasn't important. But for our school, our location, we are literally in the heart of Harlem. There was so much that happened in this area, the Renaissance. There was some protests, there's still some protests going on. And my school, they don't take advantage of that. So for me, I would change the classroom. I would take it outside of the classroom. You know, we're right by the St. Nicholas Park. Oh, that's a pretty scene. But I want to go to the Apollo. I want to go to where just so much happened that they're not teaching it in the textbooks. I want to go, no, even if it's just something like, well, they closed Harlem Lanes, but if you were to go there too, like I said, the Apollo's right there, and then the strip of 125th, you can walk down 125th, and it's just so many different things come at you. You know, they have the man selling the incense, you have the people playing music outside of the Apollo, and then you have the Apollo itself, and it's like, if you want us to connect to our history, you have to take us to where our history happened. And it wasn't in the classroom sitting in 95-degree weather.
Yep. Also, our school is named after A. Phillip Randolph, and no one in our school knows who he is. Any student, they don't know who A. Phillip Randolph is at all. And so that says a lot right there also. And I've never actually seen his face in a textbook either, so that's a big problem. I see his face in the hallways, obviously, because the school is named after him, but other than that, you don't hear about A. Phillip Randolph at all. Not even during when we learn about civil rights, which is just such a small unit. But his name is not even in there at all.
It is a shame.
I guess in relation to that, I mean, history informs our identity and shapes that. And obviously, we're not getting the history, but our identity formation is happening anyway, regardless. So when you try to bring up discussions around your identity or your collective identity, how does that happen in the classroom, and how do teachers respond to that?
Okay, so like I said before, me and Justine, we're very loud in our school. We're known. So, can you repeat the first part of the question again?
Like, how do you bring up talking about your identity in the classroom? Obviously, it's not with open arms, as you guys had said, but how do you still do that, navigate that? And how do teachers respond to that?
Well, like I said, the first teacher in the English class, she asked me to, like, no, be quiet. But my AP US teacher, Mr. Jaware, he's open to these conversations. He's one of those kind of, like, you know, even though it's not in the curriculum, we'll still talk about it. And it helps me shape my identity because, like I said, I like talking about these things. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like the past, it actually happened, it's valid, and what's going on today, it relates to that. So when we get to talk about it, it makes me feel like, okay, like the person I am, it's okay to be this person. Like, you can't see it today, but have a nice afro, the twist that just didn't come out this morning. But it makes me feel like it's okay to be this person, it's okay to talk about these things, it's okay to ask other people, like, why do you feel like, it validates my personality. So it feels good for me.
I'm sorry, what was the question again? Just, what you said was very important.
Well, whatever inspired you just now, you know, she said,
we don't, okay, in my history class, oh my God, that class, we don't really discuss, like, I don't really discuss about, like, really about Black history or anything, but if it comes up, like a tiny bit, it's like, oh, did you know this, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes some students are like, oh my God, all right, that's enough. And a lot of the times, those students are Black. So I'm just like, I'm trying to help you, educate you, and then some of them feel like I'm doing it because they feel like I'm better than them, which is usually, I kind of get that vibe from other Black kids when I try to tell them about their history and like their self-worth, like you are not
Just what they say you are.
Exactly. And they feel like I'm trying to be better than them because I'm more educated than them, because I have more knowledge. But we're in the same school, we're in the same community, but I'm not, you know, better than you. I'm not saying that, but I'm just trying to help you so we could just be stronger as a Black community.
That's another thing, like I said, me and Justine were very loud. So when we go to talk about these things, there's so many students that are like, well, Miajia, Justine, you guys are always talk about something else. Like, talk about the other women's issues, like, with feminists as well. Talk about, like women that are, like, what's going on in, Thank you. So like they say, like, Miajia always talk about black women. I said, well, we are black women. So what do you want us to talk about? I said, and then like go talk about some girl named Susie. I'm like, Susie, that got nothing to do with us. Like I would gladly defend Susie, but right now I'm talking about what's going on in Harlem and in our school and what you guys need to know about yourselves. So that when you go out into the job, like for example, it is true that a white man will, with the same credentials as a black man, will get a call back faster. And some people, they don't know this. They just think, oh no, they're not hiring me. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna tell you why they're not hiring you. And then when I tell them something, it's like, oh, that's not true, you're just talking. I'm like, I'm not just talking, I'm trying to help you. So like, when you go to certain jobs and they look at you a certain way, you know why they're looking at it, and you have the knowledge to fight against that. Like so, just like especially as people looking for jobs, and most of them they can't find them. We're counting on summer youth, and that's just a lottery. I didn't get picked this year. That's just a lottery. It's like no, go out there with what you need. Go out there ready to fight. Go out there ready for what you need. And when I'm trying to tell you things, don't tell me to be quiet, sweetheart. I'm trying to help you. She's so feisty.
I'm just curious how that works because, I mean, I get it. We want to liberate each other. We have to do that with each other. But how do we get through to our peers that don't want to listen and that, because and we have to do it together, right? But you can only do so much. You can only say so much. So how do you guys try to navigate that and try to ensure that y'all are on the same page?
We try not to be violent.
That also. Okay, so I forgot which state it's in, but we were talking about AP US history. It said there was a Confederate flag flying atop of a government building. And
South Carolina.
yes, thank you. So the Confederate flag said, and we all know what that represents, it's nothing good for us. And so, Mamadou, his name is Mamadou. And he's saying, oh, that's fine, man of color. I look at my mom, what are you talking about? He's like, it's fine, because that represents, like history and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, the KKK also represents history, but I don't think you want them in this classroom. And so, he's like, the whole class is Mr. Rivera, he's letting us debate, and he's like, Mamadou saying, it's fine that they have it, it's part of history. I'm like, okay, it may be part of history, but it is extremely, not even expensive, it's ridiculous. Words don't even explain how offensive it is to have that type of a government building. And the whole class for months, I'm trying to convince this child. And just a couple weeks ago, he hits me up. He just, she was
complaining about this for so long.
And then a couple of weeks ago, he just inboxed me, he sent me a message on Facebook with a video. He's like, Miajia, I changed my mind. Oh my God. Words can't even explain how, like, he said that, he's like, you're right, it shouldn't be atop the building. And I felt so good. It's like sometimes you can't, it doesn't matter what, you can give them all the receipts you have, and sometimes you just gotta let them figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Okay. I'm also curious. So I went to high school in East Harlem, and it was predominantly black and brown too. What is that relationship like, navigating, like just talking to Latinos and trying to find that solidarity with one another, particularly because the anti-black discrimination in Latino communities are real, as much as the anti-Latino discrimination in the black community is real. So I'm just curious how y'all navigate that. If that even impacts you guys, or you guys are just, what's that looking like?
I'm kind of open for any information that a Hispanic person would tell me about their community, and then I'll share that information with anybody else. But like, I'm not saying that their lives don't matter at all, because it does. It's very important, and their history was very important as well. But as a black female, I'm trying to help my black people as well, because we got thrown in the dirt so many times. And so I'm just trying to help us up, but I'm trying to encourage, oh my gosh, trying to encourage other people of color as well. It's like, you need to dig into your history, you need to pick your people up, because we're always going to get thrown in the dirt. And the textbook is going to give you a gigantic example of how we're always thrown in the dirt, and how our history is just, the very important ones is just like, let's just add like a pinch of that in there and nothing else, like that's about it. But I don't really speak about Latino history, but I'm very open to. So.
because like when it comes to like Black and Latinos, we are hand in hand when it comes to discrimination. We are brothers and sisters in that. And in my school, like Justine said earlier, it is predominantly Black and Hispanic, and the divide is so serious, like it's not even funny. Like we're all friends, but you can tell that you can see the divide. Like there's a whole clique of boys, we call them the Spanish Mafia, because they're always just doing, they're just there. And they had a conversation, was like, we overheard it, and they were just like, you know, I could never date a Black girl or something, or like, they were just being really ignorant towards Black people. And I kind of sound like, you do know that you're a person of color too, right? Like, people, like, they kind of, like, they see, like, we're in the same category, but they think, not even that's kind of rude, it's very rude. But the way they were talking, they were saying, like, we're better than you. And it's like, no, hunty, come back down here. You are with us in this. When it comes to discrimination, like, when Mike Brown was killed, we are with you. I'm sorry, you are with us because I was a person of color. So whenever and also, in my freshman year of high school, there was a shooting and a kid had gotten shot, and he was a Hispanic person, and I felt the pain. So I feel like whenever something happens in the Hispanic community, there are Black people that will come and they'll feel the pain with you. But when it's the other way around, the Hispanic people are kind of like, well, and it's like, you guys, we have to unite. If we're not united, what's the phrase? Solidarity? No. It's a phrase they use.
There is injustice everywhere.
Thank you, honey. Yes.
No, that's real. I mean, we can have a whole other panel talking about this, because it's real, and we need to support each other. But I do want to, like, for the Black Lives Matter, like, there were a lot of Latinos that came out, but I mean, we need everyone in it, right? Including white folk. We need as many allies as possible. But whatever, I'm going to save that for another panel because we only have a few more minutes. But I want to ask this question because we focus a lot on the bad. But I want to know, what is it in your school that does work for you, that you enjoy, and that you wish you saw more of?
Well, our school used to be the building for LaGuardia High School, but it is not anymore. And so since we're in the heart of Harlem, we do a lot of dance in our school, a whole lot of dance. And the dance program, even though like the students could be fighting in the day, but when they go to dance practice and you come to one of our shows, and I encourage y'all to please come to one of our shows, because those students on that stage, like, they pour their hearts out in dance. And it's very, very, very important to highlight that these are Black and brown students on the stage who, during the daytime, they sag their pants, but on stage they got this good old like leotard on, and they wearing this salsa suit, and they just look so good on the stage. It's like, it's very, very, very important to appreciate what Black and brown students can do, you know, because we're not drug dealers. We weren't, what is that, fed with a silver spoon? Am I saying it correct? Yeah, okay. And we're not welfare babies. So for someone to be outside looking in, and you see that this is a Black and brown student, and they're on the stage, and they're doing very, very well within, I don't know what I'm saying. What am I saying?
I think what Justine is trying to say is that just the school, of course, like every high school, there's going to be drama, and the kids are going to retaliate, they're going to fight one another. But when they get on that, like I'm on the step team, and when we get on that stage, you wouldn't even believe we're the same students. It is so beautiful. May 18th. It is so beautiful. And it is so beautiful when you go on that stage. You know, the lights come off, they do the special effects, the lighting, especially modern. Oh my God.
Oh, modern dance.
It's like, you swear you at Stuyvesant, no, was it LaGuardia? You swear you're at LaGuardia. It's beautiful, and that is definitely my favorite thing. And that also in the school spirit too. Even though like we can hate one another, but when we come to like doing the Randolph chant or one of the school dances, everybody's in together. The school community is nice. It's just that we don't all always like each other.
So it's basically a connection with the arts.
Yes.
But that's very, very, very important, the connection with an arts. Like, because I'm an art student, and I walk into math, and I'm like, what is this on my paper, miss? I don't understand this. I gotta break down this triangle and then put it back together. No, that's not my thing. I learn hands-on. I'm an art student, so in order for me to get things, in order for me to be passionate about something, is if you enthuse creativity into it. And in order for students to learn properly is to enthuse creativity into it. But since you have like you're teaching the curriculum now is just getting harder and harder, and I'm feeling a little bit bad for my little sister because she's entering high school, and the way that they're changing up this educational system, I'm glad I'm graduating next year. Right? Graduating next year, but I'm really poor for college, so I need that tuition money. Very, very, very important. But I feel like if you don't have creativity into it, you're not going to have passionate students. You're not going to have a student who wants to go to college. You know, if you just teach them, well, you need to learn this in life, you need this in your future, and then you end up becoming like an artist, and you're like, okay, you go back to high school, it's like, Mr. Sirman, I did not need this, you were wrong, and you're a successful person, then why teach students stuff that they don't need? Like, I don't get that. I mean, we need arts. We need art. Art is literally everywhere. That back there, that's art. The way that they structure these chairs, that's all art. It's all around you. So in order for students to be successful, you need creativity, you need art.
Absolutely. Like, there's so many students in my school, like I said, that have special part of dancing where you hear them speak and they're like, oh, I love to dance, I love to draw and stuff, but my mom won't pay for like an art degree. That's art degree? I can say art degree? Okay. They won't pay like a degree in the arts, they won't pay for me to go to dance school, they want to make a lawyer or a doctor. Like, honestly, this kid in my class, he's smart. He's smart, yeah. You give him a baseball in the back and he will blow you away. You give him a paper and a pencil and he won't know what to do. And we are not all meant to be, we're not all meant to go to school. We all have different talents and different, I can't remember the words. Abilities. Thank you. Different talents and abilities that aren't meant for the classroom. So if you're stifling those things that we thrive in, we won't know where to go. And that's when they'll say, oh well, maybe you need to go to special education. It's not that. I'm not a special child. Well, I'm also special. I'm not that special of a child. I do better in different fields. So that's something that definitely needs to be promoted in schools. That not everyone is meant to have a book in their hand.
Do we have a few minutes for questions? Okay, so, well, first of all, let's give a round of applause for these wonderful ladies. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, this is so thank you again, and I guess, yeah, let's open it up for questions.
There's nobody at that microphone.
Sure.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay. I'm trying not to ask a leading question, so I'm going to ask it this way and then see what your response is. How do you feel about learning about your history? And when I say I'm saying Black African Americans and also African American females from your family and from your community. What does that mean to you? And is that a reality?
You can start, girl. Okay. This is very, very, very important. Very important. I'm only 16, so I'm still trying to get in touch with myself, my own roots, as you can see right here. This is very complicated, but this is a part of my roots. And to teach somebody about their roots can open them up in many different ways, because cultural appreciation is very important. Like I said earlier, it's very important because we're just average teenagers and we don't know who we are. And so if we get a taste of our history, it'll make us a bit stronger, because we saw how our people struggled and we don't want that now. So we just keep building, and we just build. So we just build and build. So that's it. I'm just past that time.
So hearing it from my mother, and people like my aunts and my grandmother, obviously they're older than me, they've seen more than I have. Like, times are different, but not that different. And hearing the way my mother talks about it, like how she's being discriminated when she went for a job, like the way she talks, like the way her eyes are, her face gets so serious, and she says, Miajia, I want better for you. And it's like it wasn't my grandma, but it was my first grandma. She said, she was in tears when we did the huge the walk from 42nd, sorry, not, from Union Square to 42nd Street, and she said her grandma's in tears, and she asked her why. She said, well, I marched so you wouldn't have to. And like I said, history repeats itself. So when you hear your parents talk about it, it's like, okay, so mommy did this, I'm gonna do this. Do I want my daughter to do this or my son to do this too? It's like, it makes you wanna, it pushes you more. It's like, since this happened, I wanna make sure that my child doesn't do it. So what I'm doing now with the protest and the advocating I'm doing, I make sure I do just 10 times harder so that the next generation doesn't have to. Cause like protests, we're not the, like me just saying, we're not the first wave, we're not even the third wave, but the important thing is that we are one of the waves that are making change, and that's one of the most important things.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. I think you all are a breath of fresh air. It felt like a spa. I loved your I'm serious, I loved your authentic selves. I loved the rambles. I loved the succinctness. I love the interstitials. It's adorable. So one thing I was thinking is a talk show.
Girl, oh my God, we've been saying this for so long. Thank you.
And I'll be interested in producing it. And then, I'm serious. And then the second thing, the talk show would be literally your own inquiry. Because you all can solve your own problem. Google, or DuckDuckGo, or whatever other search engine, you know what I'm saying, how covert or overt you want to be. But it could be literally one so-called marginalized, no one else knows about this person in history, or it could be someone that you should know but most people don't know. You could start off with the name of your building.
Right.
A. Phillip Randolph. Do you know who? Like, literally. So that's one thing. Then the second thing would be, how do you view the way the media is literally right now in this millisecond portraying, conveying, and narrating the issues that are going on right now in terms of Black Lives Matter? I'll tell you real quick. My issue is that they're making it these two pillars. Mike Garner, Eric Brown. Like, I'm just messing up the last names on purpose because it's like it makes zero sense to me. Just like you all just said before, you all in a third wave, a fifth wave, whatever wave we're in. What's up with the media? What would you have to say if you got the microphone in terms of the fact that it's bigger than Eric Gardner, it's bigger than Mike Brown, it's bigger than Trayvon, that this has been going on? Let me hear it.
You want to say? Oh. So, to answer your question, so again, in AP, I think it's one of my AP classes that I had discussions in. So the AP English, and one of the girls, she goes, well, they're protesting out in Ferguson, but they're burning down buildings. I'm looking at my child, I don't care about a building burning, a little boy, a man was shot to death, and you're worried about a building. Say, yeah, that was all over the news. I don't care. Oh my God, I really hate Fox News. So it's like, you go to Fox News and you have all these things that going on in the world, people starving, people being raped and murdered, and you go on Fox News, ways to park your car. It's like, what? Oh my God.
I mean, there's way more important stuff than Kim Kardashian's dress, but yeah, so.
It's like everything going on right now, and you trying to tell me, like, after the 3 Muslims, they were shot in the parking lot, they really cut the segment after the saying they said, ways to help you park your car, because it's tricky. I don't care about parking my car. Why were they shot to death? Why did this happen? So when you go to the media, they just black out everything. Like she said in class, she said these words. She said, okay, what they do, they have the camera pin on the issue for a moment, and then they go, oh look, what's over there? Like they'll do it so that you won't notice it. But we're sitting on the couch like, okay, go back to what's going on over there.
Like when the Kenyan massacre happened, that was all. I was really upset that only a few people in this. I have a couple of Kenyan friends, obviously, so they would, write Facebook statuses about it and tweet about it, but there weren't other people knowing about it. They didn't know about this. And it's like, oh, okay, well, this is, a Black issue, so we don't really have to worry about it. But I was worried about Palestine. I was worried about what was going on in Gaza. I was worried about all of that. And on the news, when I turned to, like I said, like she said, Fox News, really, really bad station, there wasn't anything about the Kenyan massacre. It wasn't really much about Gaza. It wasn't really much about Muslims being shot because they're Muslims. Wasn't much about that. And I sat on my couch and I'm furious. You can even ask my sister. I was angry. And my mom's like, well, it's not really that important. It is very important. That person had a life. like yours and mine. They would breathe in the same oxygen we're breathing. They have hearts beating like all of ours in this crowd, and why can't they get the same attention as someone else would? Because their lives are very valuable. And that's what the media does not really understand, is that the media is very biased. It's too biased, and they just want you to see the things that they feel are very important. And everything is very important, but they don't feature the stuff that actually matters, because I really don't care about Kim Kardashian's dress, to be honest. Her makeup sometimes is on fleek. I just really don't care. But at the moment, you just really, really, really have to appreciate what actually matters, right?
And then on top of that, when they do actually decide, okay, let's give the people of color their spotlight, it's like they try to dehumanize us. Like with the Mike Brown, they said they were focusing on a robbery that happened they were focusing on a robbery that happened, and they refused. I had to do my own research because I was like, this doesn't sound right. So I do my own research. They focused more. They never filled out a police report. They tried to dehumanize and say, well, he stole that pack of cigarettes. Since when does a pack of cigarillos equate to someone's life? Never today have I walked out, my mom just like sold me for a pack of cigarettes. Like I'm worth more than a pack of cigarettes. Like they'll try to dehumanize, like, well, that one time in 3rd grade when he stole that pencil. I'm like, child.
I stole a lot of pencils in the 3rd grade.
It's just like they try to make it seem as though, okay, especially black people, with the theater shooting, I'm so bad at places. The theater shooting in Colorado, never once did they say, oh, well, that time, they talk about the guns, but never once did they say, like, oh, well, they didn't delve into the history of his mom and stuff, the way they did with Mike Brown. They never once did any of that. So it's like when people of color, when we finally do get our spotlight on media, it's like, okay, yeah, you got shot or you got stabbed, but look what you did. And it's like, can we focus on the knife in my back instead of worrying about the pencil I stole 2 years ago?
So how to try to justify murder, right?
Well, that's actually, you guys gave me a perfect segue. So we're talking about media, and I research adolescents and their exposure to media and how we can use media to educate. It sounds like you guys are critical consumers of media, which is amazing and rare. So we're talking about Kim Kardashian and how, like, popular culture. How do you make sure that you critically consume popular culture? As a student here, trying to do my authentic self, I like retro music. I also listen to jazz. How do you, as someone growing up in the 2000s, which I feel for y'all, honestly. I was a teenager, early 2000s. It was bad. Thongs, low-rise jeans, it's sad. But how do you now, in this day, consume popular culture without it, damaging your mind or poisoning your mind?
I don't know. To be honest, it's a hard question to answer because, like I said, we're teenagers. We want to be part of the all new trends, but at the same time, want to be our own person. And so when you hear about things like, oh, Kim K got married again, so and so just dyed her hair blue. It's like you want to be on top of these things. These people, you watch the TV shows, you listen to their music, so you want to be on top of what they're doing. But at the same time, some of the things that they're doing, it kind of makes you sit back and question. And that's kind of where I get a lot of my views from. Like a lot of the cultural appropriation that goes on in the music industry, such as cough cough Igloo Australia. I don't know where she came from. She gotta go back.
She rarely means Iggy Azalea.
Igloo Australia. Like honestly, I'm not really feeling the Kardashian Jenner family right now. I don't like Kylie. I don't like everything she's doing right now. Like the Kylie Jenner challenge. And those that aren't aware, it's just that they put a cup on their lips and they suck in. They do a suction which is about 5 minutes, and then they take the cup off and their lips are just swollen. And it's like, oh, it's the Kylie Jenner. They're trying Kylie-esque lips. I said, sweetheart, everybody, look to your left and right, black and brown people. We have all had Kylie-esque lips for about since we've been black. Like
those same lips that
I got teased for in 5th grade. The same lips that said no one would ever love. Well, see, y'all all loving them now with these cups on your lips. It's like those things. It kind of makes you think. It's like it wasn't cool on me, but it's so cool because this little white girl did it. I don't think so. So that's where I get a lot of my thing. That's where I really have to sit back and look and just be like, okay, well, this isn't okay. That's where I get a lot of my views from when I just see like the injustice and the going on in the music industry.
Same thing with the Bindies.
Facts. Yeah. I'm sorry. There's a whole movement going on right now called Reclaim the Bindi, and I'm so happy. I know a lot of people that they're supposed to wear the bindis, but they don't because a couple girls in California wore it because it was cute and trendy. And so the Reclaim the Bindi movement right now, I love seeing my brown people wearing all their bindis. It's so pretty.
So next, y'all gonna be seeing as a fashion statement where people walking up and down the street with turbans and hijabs on their heads. So just look out for that one in the streets.
Right. It's just,
They already took the Sophia.
Like there's this quote that said, you know, imagine what America would be like if they loved black people as much as they love black culture, and that's so true. Like everybody wants to be black when it's time to be black. They're like, oh, but I'm European.
We would get hugged up and down the street. Every corner we getting hugged. So that's it.
I know everyone's tired, so I'm sorry, Amelia. Maybe we can talk at the reception. Because I know y'all are hungry and tired, so.
There's no hungry.
Yeah. But let's just give one more round of applause because I'm telling you.
Thank you.
All right.